Clearly the Almighty can no longer claim to have authored every species in under a week. You've killed God, sir.
Before Darwin was an icon, he was just a man, grieving the loss of a child, struggling with his marriage, and conflicted about writing up his theory of evolution because he knew it would have enormous implications.
When I view all beings not as special creations, but as the lineal descendants of some few beings which lived long before the first bed of the Cambrian system was deposited, they seem to me to become ennobled. From famine and death, the most exalted object which we are capable of conceiving, namely the production of the higher animals, directly follows. There is grandeur in this view of life, with its several powers, having been originally breathed by the Creator into a few forms, whilst this planet has gone, circling on according to the fixed law of gravity, from so simple a beginning, endless forms, most beautiful and most wonderful, have been and are being evolved.
One of Fitzroy's grand experiments was to take 4 children from Tierra del Fuego. They were all given ridiculous names: Jemmy Buttons, Fuegia Basket, York Minster, and the like. They were carried off to England, put in a school with children half their age, taught to read and write, and 2 of them were presented to the King and Queen. To great acclaim, everyone thought this was marvelous. They tamed the savage heart. The children were then taken back, and Darwin was present when they were, in the belief that they would Christianize and civilize their fellow Fuegians. Simply told, within 3 months, the children were running stark naked again with their fellow Fuegians, blathering in this seemingly barbaric tongue again. The experiment was a complete failure.
Is to come.
So, as Adam said, we're here in the study at Down House, and this is where he wrote The Whole of the Origin of Species. Now, I wonder if you could just describe to us, you've beautifully recreated the study as it was when Darwin was writing. What can we see around us?
We're here in a fairly sizable, dark, panelled room. The walls are lined with books, and there are 2 large tables covered in paraphernalia of Darwin's scientific work. This is, of course, as you say, where he wrote On the Origin of Species as well as his other works, and he did it sat in that large, unusual-looking chair. Darwin was a tall man and has a correspondingly large chair that's been specially customised for him.
Jenny, why was the garden an important feature of Darwin's life here?
Well, the garden was very important to Darwin, as was the surrounding landscape. He used it as the location for many of his experiments, but he also came out here to think. And, it's quite apposite in some ways that it's snowing, because come rain or shine, Darwin would be found walking the walk down to the sand walk, which is basically a long path with a circular bit at the end. And what he would do is he'd do 5 circuits of this walk. And every time he did a circuit, he would kick a flint marker on his feet to the side of the path. And sometimes when his children were feeling particularly tricksy, they would move one back to make him do an extra lap.
That's a bit mischievous.